Hey y'all, what is going on? What is going on? It's your girl, Melba Pearson, the resident legal diva, coming to you on May 3rd. Today is Freedom to Learn Day, which is part of a national movement of academics, thinkers, regular folks, everybody in between to push back against the banning of books in our institutions. We've seen a huge push, especially here in Florida, to ban certain types of topics from being taught in schools, and even going so far as to ban whole majors, whole topics from even being something that a student can consider. We've seen pushback around AP African American history when other groups are able to have their history showcased in advanced placement studies. So you can do advanced placement Japanese, you can do advanced placement Jewish studies, you can do so many other types of courses, but somehow AP African American history gets the brunt. I wonder why. So, in furtherance of this campaign today, I decided to pick a banned book that I have purchased for a number of friends over the course of the last couple of years. The book is called The Antiracist Baby, and it's by Ibram X. Kendi. You may remember this book from the interviews for Supreme Court, right? So now Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was on the Hill interviewing for the job, right? So they had a whole set of confirmation hearings, and she was asked different questions by a variety of senators to find out if she would be fair and balanced and if she's ready to take on this position. And Senator Ted Cruz paid a significant amount of time in demonizing this particular book, which again, separately I had gotten for friends, didn't even realize that this was a thing. But he claimed that it was just this horrible book that was, corrupting our children and all of this. So I want to read it for y'all. And I encourage you to get the book yourself and buy it for the children in your lives if you agree with the messages that are being set forth by the author. This is actually a children's book. It basically, I've gotten it for my friends that have had, babies, and they are reading it to them every night and, creating a different thought pattern around what kind of person they want their child to grow up to be. So it's pretty short, and I'm just going to kind of editorialize in between. But again, I encourage you to read it yourself and don't rely on what other folks say about it. Read it yourself and decide if it's something that should be banned in Florida schools or in other schools, or if people are just really making a much to do about absolutely nothing. So here goes. And I'm reading it. It's available on Amazon, so you can do it via your Kindle. You can do it by Apple Books, Audible, whatever form that you like to take your books in, as well as hard copy. So here we go. Antiracist Baby. There's a lot of great illustrations that were done by Ashley Lukashevsky. So the first one talks about anti-racist baby is bred, not born. Anti-racist baby is raised to make society transform. In this particular page, they have an adorable illustration that has somebody that is differently abled sitting in a wheelchair holding a sign that says climate justice is racial justice. So my editorializing on this aspect is the fact that, listen, nobody's born racist and nobody's born anti-racist, right? When you think about kids on the playground, kids play with each other and they just want to have a good time. It's generally when parents or teachers or other people get involved and say, that child is different than you. You shouldn't play with that child because of X reason or Y reason. That's the beginning of where these types of racist thoughts come into play. Children aren't born this way. So this first, quote reminds us that if we want to fight racism, we have to do so actively. You can't just bring a child into the world and be like, all right, well, there's going to be, anti-racist. They're going to, not treat people differently. I don't have to do anything. You have to take affirmative steps to make sure your child is not racist. The same way you take affirmative steps to teach children racist values, right? So, anti-racist baby is bred, not born. Anti-racist baby is raised to make society transform. Next, babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There's no neutrality. Bottom line, right? You're either teaching your child to treat people right, or you're teaching your child not to. There's no in between. Period. End of story. The next page is take these 9 steps to make equity a reality. So, first one, open your eyes to all skin colors. Anti-racist baby learns all the colors, not because race is true. If you claim to be colorblind, you deny what's right in front of you. So I love this because I absolutely hate when people say to me, oh, I don't see color. First of all, you're lying, because yes, you do. Unless you're like clinically colorblind, you see color, right? The question is, are you treating somebody differently or badly because of their color, right? I have no problem with people seeing me as a Black woman because I, in fact, am. That's how I identify. It is what it is, right? I just don't want people treating me badly because of the fact that I'm a Black woman, right? If I see somebody that, and I'm now broadening this out not just to race, but to ethnicity and other religious identifiers, things like that. I see somebody who is wearing a yarmulke and looks to be consistent with somebody who is Orthodox Jewish. If I greet them, let's say it's a man, I greet them and say hello, and I stick out my hand, they're not going to shake my hand because Orthodox Jewish men do not, my understanding of the faith is they are not allowed to touch a woman that's not their wife, right? So instead of getting offended by me seeing that he's of a different religion, I can understand the reaction or maybe ask a question like, oh, did I do something wrong? And that gives them the opportunity to teach me something I may not have known before. So we cut ourselves off from knowledge when we're like, oh, I don't see color. I don't see any differences between people. Yeah, you do. Just don't treat people badly because of it. That's the bottom line. I think people just went way to the extreme of like, oh no, just in an effort not to be called racist, I'm going to say, I don't see any race. Dude, we know you're lying, right? Just don't treat people badly because of it. The next one says, number 2, use your words to talk about race. No one will see racism if we only stay silent. If we don't name racism, it won't stop being so violent. So again, what's so dangerous about what we're seeing across the country is almost this complete fear to even tackle the topic of racism and have a discussion about it, right? And people seem to be so quick to dismiss what people say. Like, listen, I experienced this, and it was racist. It hurt me, and this is how it impacted me. How are we going to do better as a country if we can't even have a basic discussion about racism and not get all offended and get in our feelings, right? And the reality is by saying, oh, by talking about racism, it's going to make people feel bad. Well, how do you think the person who is experiencing racism feels? They feel really bad, right? So the reality is, to prevent that from happening again, you have to understand what racism is, how it shows up, and not be afraid to talk about it. Have those tough discussions. By not taking this on, you're basically creating that whole quote unquote snowflake stereotype, right? That, oh my gosh, I can't hear or learn anything different to what I've been raised or what I'm familiar with because somehow it's going to make me feel bad or make me a worse person. It makes absolutely no sense. All right. So number 3, point at policies as the problem, not people. Some people get more while others get less because policies don't always grant equal access. So again, very interesting point because it's not necessarily an issue of racist people. Sometimes it's policies that are the thing that creates that inequality and sustains inequality, right? We've got to talk about those policies again and not point the finger and be like, well, so and so's a racist and that's why. Maybe that is part of the issue, but maybe it's just a policy that we haven't thought much about. We've never engaged or kind of, looked at what is the impact. How, even though the intention may not have been racist, if it's having a racist impact, if it's harming people, shouldn't we fix it? It's kind of that simple, right? Number 4, shout. There's nothing wrong with the people. Even though all races are not treated the same, we are all human, Antiracist Baby can proclaim. So basically, it's again talking about treating people equally. And even though some people may not get the same access or the same opportunities, that doesn't make them bad people. We're all human, right? We all bleed red. We all, at the end of the day, want to have love and be comfortable and, be around the people that we care about and have safety. I mean, these are basic things that every human being wants. So once we view things through that lens, we're going to be in a much better place, as opposed to there's something wrong with you or I don't like you, et cetera, et cetera. Number 5, celebrate all of our differences. Antiracist Baby doesn't see certain groups as better or worse. Antiracist Baby loves a world that's truly diverse. I'm still trying to figure out what Ted Cruz's problem is with that. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what he wants too? Doesn't he want, no group to be viewed as better or worse? That's the whole thing that we're all advocating for. So again, y'all, what's the problem? Number 6, knock down the stack of cultural blocks. Antiracist Baby appreciates how groups speak, dance, and create as they choose. Antiracist Baby welcomes all groups voicing their unique views. Again, as we talk about conservative versus progressive, woke versus anti-woke, this, that, and the other, again, the Antiracist Baby appreciates everyone. Doesn't say only the people that the Anti-Racist Baby agrees with. It's with everybody. Appreciates how groups speak, dance, and create as they choose, and welcomes all groups voicing their unique views. Again, isn't that the kind of kids we want? Just saying. Number 7, confess when being racist. Now I see the problem. Nothing disrupts racism more than when we confess the racist ideas that we sometimes express. So there you have it. Admitting when you're doing wrong, admitting when a bad thought has gone through your mind, confessing it to help take the power out of it, right? So you're not holding that guilt and all of that, and you're just like, man, that was really racist. Let me do better, right? Because if you're not checking it within your own mind and your own heart, it's not going to get better. You're not going to be able to address these racist views or feelings or concerns that you may have. The way is to engage, figure out what's driving you to feel this way, and address it from that standpoint, rather than just covering it up and not dealing with it altogether and allowing it to fester and get worse. Number 8, grow to be an anti-racist. Anti-Racist Baby is always learning, always changing, and growing. Anti-Racist Baby stays curious about all people and isn't all knowing. So again, it's that call to grow and to expand your mind and do more and be a better person each and every day. Try to be a better person than you were yesterday. And 9, believe we shall overcome racism. Anti-Racist Baby is filled with the power to transcend, my friend, and doesn't judge a book by its cover, but reads it until the end. Oh my God, I just love it. It's so adorable. It's so relatable, and it breaks down these concepts in a way that kids can grasp, understand, and hopefully grow into. At the end of the day, and the final page of the book, it says, Antiracist Baby is bred not born. Antiracist Baby is raised to make society transform. The Antiracist Baby celebrates all our differences, uses words to talk about racism, understands that people aren't the problem, policies are. Learn to imagine a world without racism with Antiracist Baby. And with that, I encourage all of you to do the same. Imagine a world free of racism. But that starts with you, and we've got to put in the work. And the work involves having tough discussions, learning more, pushing ourselves to learn more, and to have discussions, not ban books. Take good care, y'all.